Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Inside the Foul podcast brings you episode 42 with the opinions and perspectives of a couple best friends. And if you don't like that call, we've got 3 words for you. You're out of here! We are your hosts, peeling back everything we can on Banana Ball, Chris and Ethan.
This is going to be a fun one. Okay, I'm already jealous of this man's view.
So, today on the podcast, we're joined by a man who has somehow mastered the art of turning organized chaos into a touring banana-colored phenomenon. He's the associate head coach and director of baseball operations for the Savannah Bananas, which means when Banana Ball looks smooth, fun, and perfectly timed, he's probably the one quietly making sure nobody's setting the field on fire, literally and metaphorically. Before Adam Virant dove headfirst into the world of Banana Ball, he studied law and economics because apparently the best preparation for managing a baseball circus is understanding contracts and capitalism. But instead of ending up in a courtroom, he chose ballparks, bus routes, and transforming football stadiums into baseball fields like it's a casual Tuesday. He's handled logistics, field conversions, travel planning, turf decisions, and the beautiful madness that comes with a team that dances more than most weddings. He's even done full breakdowns on grass science, which officially makes him the first guest on this show who can talk litigation, lawn care, and lineups without blinking. He helps keep the Bananas machine running, the show on schedule, and the baseball somehow both real and ridiculous, all with the calm energy of a man who has absolutely seen some things. So buckle up, because today we get to peel back the layer of Banana Ball with the guy who keeps it all together. Adam Virant, welcome to Inside the Foul.
Man, I tell you what, I sound pretty good based on how you explain it. I'd love for you to. I'm gonna make sure my parents watch this so they understand I'm just not out here dancing, wearing a yellow uniform, and signing autographs for a living. There's a lot more that goes into it. So thanks so much for that introduction. I'm fired up to be here with you.
Absolutely. So we see the background, and before we got started, we did ask that it was the home field. So this is Savannah Bananas, where you guys started.
That's right. Tuning in live from historic Grayson Stadium here in Savannah, Georgia, where baseball has been played for 100 years. And the Savannah Bananas have revitalized excitement, enthusiasm here at this ballpark that used to sit empty during some of those minor league games, which, for better or worse, I love minor league baseball, but we've re-energized. We brought people back to the ballpark, not only here at Grayson Stadium, but ballparks across the country. So yeah, we got a beautiful day out here in Savannah, and Grayson Stadium has never looked better.
That is awesome. So again, thank you for joining us on the podcast. We've got many questions just in the realm of Banana Ball, in the realm of your, professional opinions and things. So, we get into it. Before the yellow uniform and the spotlight, right? What part of your early baseball years, or your early years in general, helped build your identity you carry now? And what part did you have to let go of to grow?
That's a great question. Like many of us, we grew up playing Little League and Sandlot League and high school, Legion Ball. And then for some of us, we were able to go to college and then play professional. I never played professional, but the one thing that I learned at a very early age, before the Bananas even existed, before Jesse Cole even existed, was fun. I wanted to have fun on a sporting field, whether it was a baseball field, football field, basketball court, whatever it was. I was one of those kind of glue guys who I just loved being around my teammates, the coaches, the game, opponents. I didn't put a lot of stock into just winning, and that defined me, and that run ruled my happiness. I put a lot of stock in just having fun and wanting to show up and knocking down the door to go to practice and being have the dragged off the field after practice because I didn't want to leave. And so for me, sports was always about connection, fun, camaraderie, growing. And that is something I was able to bring here, my mentality internally, on what the Bananas are all about. We're all about fun, engagement, the fans, camaraderie, teamwork. We're all about all of these things. So while it started 40 plus years ago for me on a little baseball field in the middle of Papillion, Nebraska, I am now able to still be that crazy fun kid here on the main stage that the Bananas bring to not only Savannah, but across the country.
That is awesome. Because I really do love that you guys have taken the sport and not like changed much of it, but made it more exciting. Like all the things that would be an unwritten rule or people don't like to see in traditional baseball, you guys have made it front and center, and it makes it more fun.
Yeah, and unapologetically, Jesse Cole, our owner and creator of Banana Ball, creative Banana Land, creator of the Savannah Bananas, has a saying, and he says, "Whatever is normal, let's do the opposite. Whatever is normal, let's do the opposite." Now, not recklessly, but social norms and kind of the old way of doing things um, doesn't really work. It doesn't really jive with the current climate in sports, whether it's entertainment on a field or if a player is actually playing a sport. Some things we've learned over the years, over history, that man, more and more people for some reason are not enjoying this great sport of baseball. So he went and tried to crack the code on why. And not really just to write a report, but just to do things differently, to bring people back to the ballpark, to create a game that players who have been playing traditional baseball their entire lives were now so fired up to play and have a renewed energy and vigor towards a slightly different version of baseball, and that's banana ball.
So, so before the banana ball opportunity came to you, right? You kind of had different career path up to that point, right? So do you remember the exact moment that the banana ball opportunity became real to you? What was the emotional like weight of the decision, the excitement, fear, the validation? Like what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I was an attorney, as you mentioned, for 10 years in New York City. Hated every single second of it. Hated it, except for the paycheck, which is good. So kudos to you lawyers, stick with it. But it just wasn't for me. I needed something more. It wasn't giving me energy to wake up in the morning. It was actually keeping me up at night with stress, anxiety, and all those things. So I was able to break away. And I was really lucky to be able to do that. A lot of people don't have that luxury to just kind of like step away from something that they went all in on and spent $200,000 on law loans and passed the bar and did all that stuff. And so I started coaching baseball after that. My dad and my dad was a lifelong educator, and he said, "Son, why don't you love teaching? Why don't you go back and be a professor, be a teacher, and also coach baseball?" And so he steered me towards working with youth players first. And I fell in love with it because I didn't know if I could coach. I knew I could play. I knew I loved the game, but could I teach it? And more importantly, did it give me energy? And it certainly did. And that moment that you're asking about happened in 2021. Now my best friend Nate Fish and I were working at a youth baseball program up in New York City, and he had this opportunity to go on the road with the Bananas on our One City World Tour as their head coach. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. He said, "Hey, Viro, here's a thing. Here's a new opportunity. I think this could be really, really cool. There's very little involvement that is needed. It is only a couple weeks. Do you want to come do it?" And I started researching the Bananas, started seeing them a little bit on ESPN. Their breakdancing first base coach was my first introduction to the Bananas. And of course, like everybody else, I was like, what in the world is this? But there was something when I listened to Jesse and listened to his vision about why he was doing these things. And I was like, man, I need to go down there and see what's going on. And the moment I landed in Savannah and Jesse Cole picked up Nate and I and wearing his yellow suit, his yellow tux, I was like, wow, this guy is all in. And from that moment, after going to dinner with him and kind of sharing the vision with him, I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be around people who think differently, have very high motors, but more importantly, want to do it for the right reason in a positive way for the fans and the players and everything of that nature. So that moment, I remember when Nate Fitch reached out and he said, "Do you want to do this?" And I was just like, man, I don't know. I got to take time off from work. I don't know if I'm going to get paid. And looking back now, it was the single best moment of me betting on myself, taking that leap of faith, walking away from the law I thought was going to be my seminal moment as a human. It was making that first decision to hop on that plane, go down to Savannah with no expectations of job, payment, anything like that, And once I got in here, down to Banana Land, I dove in head first, and I've been lucky enough to be here on all 5 tours and being an integral part in developing this game and developing this department and developing players and entertainment players, some of which you all see and enjoy on our baseball fields like stilts, but head first in. And honestly, there are tough days here. It is a job, but it's a job I love. It gives me energy. Everything I do here gives me energy, even the things that are hard to do, even telling players the playing time isn't there, or we're not going to bring you back, which are hard. But I feel like we've set ourselves up with what we bring to not only the game and the world, but also to the players. And I love it, man. It gives me energy every single day of the week.
Man, to hear that, like, there's also players like the college level and everything that they're not talking about going to become major league players. They're like, what if I can make it to banana ball? What if I can play the Savannah Bananas baseball? Like that, it's kind of cool to see that that's becoming a dream for young players now.
There's no doubt, and we are starting to grow the game of banana ball at the youth level. We already kind of have this platform where they get to come to a show and see us do cool things, but they get to dream. They get to dream about what do they want to become. For me, it was a Major League Baseball player. That's all we had. Banana ball did not exist. If banana ball existed, I probably, we all have dreams of being a major leaguer and we want those things, but banana ball for me, but a lot of folks is right. It fits their character. It's accessible to them. More importantly, it extends careers. Major League Baseball, there's such a lifespan. If you don't throw 100 miles per hour anymore, baseball says you can't do this anymore. But banana ball gets to extend careers for a lot of players. And I can see some of our players playing well into their 40s because performance on the field is one thing, but it's just a small piece of this. It's entertaining, it's connecting, it's being a great culture fit, it's being a good member, it's being a good purveyor of an ambassador of our sport. And so banana ball, one of the things I'm most thrilled about is it's extended careers. It's reinvigorated players on playing this game. A lot of them get burned out, worn out through affiliate ball. They don't want to do it anymore. But now we're seeing them come into Banana Land without that pressure, without anxiety, other than dancing, because they're all afraid of dancing. But we're now seeing them have a better quality of life and actually performing better. It's not a surprise. You perform better when your head is right and you're in a positive mindset and you're smiling. So that's what we're all about here. And it's one of my proudest accomplishments to be a small part of, is extending some of these careers for some of these really great humans that we have on these staffs.
That's awesome. I really do love that. Banana ball demands like a performance level vulnerability, right? What was the hardest part about like allowing yourself to be quote unquote seen by fans in a way traditional baseball never really prepares anyone for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember vividly. First of all, I'm a behind the scenes guy. I like to be back underneath in the tunnel, giving some direction, pressing some buttons, pulling some levers. That's what I really, really kind of gravitate to, and I thrive in that. But then you put on the yellow uniform and you have to do "Hey Baby" in front of thousands, literally 80,000 fans. And I remember sitting up in New York, getting ready to go down to Banana Land and for the first time and being like, how in the heck am I going to do "Hey Baby" in front of these people? I can't do this. And that was the biggest source of anxiety, not just for me, but for a lot of our players. And then what you realize when you get down here and you're around a lot of like-minded individuals who are all in this for the right reason, there's safety in numbers. It's kind of like going to a wedding, and you guys mentioned weddings. You go to a wedding and there's people on that dance floor that have never been on a dance floor before, but there's safety in numbers because everybody's getting crazy. Same here. That allows you very quickly to get outside of your comfort zone and go all in. Now, I don't even think about it. The amount of times I've done "Hey Baby" and spoke in front of 30, 40, 50, 60, 100,000 people is pretty, it's pretty a large amount of people. And now I don't even think about it anymore. And so you have to get over that initial step, take that first step, and then you'll be good because there's safety in numbers here.
So I have to ask a question on that. What was it like performing the very first time doing that song? Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know how y'all choreograph it so easily. Like my son's like, we should do that at our practice. I'm like, I'm not that coordinated. Can't do it.
Man, there was definitely a lot of imposter syndrome the first time I was doing that. There was a lot of embarrassment. And the one thing that I realized is everybody just wasn't staring at me. They weren't just focused on the one uncoordinated guy who looked like he was a little uneasy on that. But I also did learn that if you don't go all in, you will stick out like a sore thumb. If you're the only guy out there not dancing, you are sticking out like a sore thumb. So definitely that first time, imposter syndrome, tons of anxiety, tons of anxiety. Nowadays, I'm usually in the middle of some sort of operations thing or a team decision thing when the fourth inning rolls around, and I just sprint out there like nothing, and I rip out "Hey Baby" in front of everybody. I try to make it as crazy and fun as possible, so they remember there was some crazy coach out there wearing number 16 doing it unlike anybody else and kind of making a fool out of himself. But again, that's all about freeing up as a human being. So many of us we have these fears in our head that we create. We create these walls, and all they are is they're made up. And so getting out there, taking that first step, going all in, and knowing that you're not going to be perfect, but not having the anxiety that, man, look at that guy. He doesn't know how to dance. Absolutely not. That he extinguishes all of the walls and the fears that we build up in our heads, and then we're able to operate at the highest level that we can.
I've seen you guys a lot of times in little reels here and there on social media, but a lot of the conversations that like Jesse has with you guys, just like mentality stuff. Like, what's the most impactful, uncomfortable, or brutally honest piece of feedback or direction that's been given, and how did it hit you?
Yeah, Jesse's one of the best motivators I've ever been around. And I'm not saying that because he's my boss. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't fully all in with leadership and his message. And it was really kind of a basic message, but it was deep, and it's what's it going to take? What is it going to take to get this thing that you think is impossible done? You got to think differently. How can we think differently? How can you get outside the box? How can you do something that is completely opposite than your normal way of going? And so the whatever it takes message really forces you into an uncomfortable zone to figure out some tricky things. And he has a different way of asking different levels of challenges to different people. Fortunately, I'm one of these people who I've earned the right to really kind of take on those heavy, impossible tasks and find a way. That is my superpower of problem solving and finding a way. So it was very empowering, but he has a way of pushing us to the limits to see what we're capable of. And so that can be a little uncomfortable for people, especially because Jesse is such a powerful voice. He is such a driven leader where it can be almost like, I don't want to let him down. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want to create the anxiety and the fear for himself. He wants you to grow. And if you grow, then this whole sport will grow, and we'll be able to grow for our fans and put on the greatest show in sports.
And you guys really do that to a T, and it really does show the amount of hard work and dedication that you guys put into it. But it kind of goes into my next question. Like, with so much performing built into your routine and the way you guys are on the field, how do you build that authentic relationship inside of a team dynamic where everyone also plays a character, but it's still, you're out there playing a game?
Yeah, that's one of the most challenging pieces, but it starts by who do we bring into the organization? Do they have the makings? Are they projectable in order to do something different? Yeah, they may be a great baseball player, but do they have the makings to be fans first through and through, to entertain always, to be willing to be flexible and creative and improv and get outside their comfort zone? So it really starts with identifying players who might be good fits. And then there's a process of talking with them and challenging them to see whether or not they kind of pass that culture fit for us. And then once they're here, that was the hardest work. We already have them bought in, but then we go out to the field, and it's just a constant reminder of this is why people are showing up. A lot of people are not showing up to watch you play banana ball. Some of them are, but most people are showing up to be entertained, to be amused, to kind of detach from the world that is crazy all around us. And so the responsibility that they individually have as a player is to be fans first through and through, and create an unforgettable moment for a fan. And that's really, really powerful when the light bulb goes off and they're like, okay, I get this. Then it's easy. It's easy to kind of keep them in line. Sure, the days get long. Sure, if they had a bad game, it's hard to kind of flip that switch, but keep the perspective about what this whole thing is about, the fans. Without the fans, none of this exists. Without the fans and selling out stadiums, I'm not talking to you. We don't get to have this beautiful field. I don't get to have a full-time job. I got to go do coaching clinics or something up there. But keeping this perspective about this, what this whole thing is a lot easier when you get the right people on the bus in Grayson, in Banana Land, and then we can get to work and put on the greatest show in sports.
So speaking on the players, y'all had y'all's first 6-team draft last week. How is there any insights you can give how that went, knowing it was the first time y'all have had that many teams going on?
Tell you what, it was the first time we've ever done it. And so we learned a lot of things along the way, but I think the feedback, at least internally and externally, is that was amazing. That was an incredible step forward for our young sport to legitimize our young sport as a truly competitive sport while having that entertainment piece and all of those things of that nature. So I think it was fantastic. I think that it redistributed some of our talent evenly across all 6 teams, which is very, very important in league play. You can't just have the party animals dominating everybody and the firefighters winning 6 games like they did this year, although they knocked us out of the playoffs. But more of any game, anybody can win. And that's really what we were going for, is parity across all these leagues, all these teams. And I think we got that through the draft. Sure, there were some tough decisions that we internally had to make from a banana standpoint. There were some people who didn't get drafted, which is tough, but that happens in a lot of major sports where people just don't get drafted. We move on from people. We are not callous like some of these other sports where they just get cut mid-season. Our players are on year-long contracts. So if they come in day one, they sign a contract, and if they get hurt or it just doesn't work out and it's not something egregious that they've done, they're taken care of for that entire 12 months. And so we invest in our people. But again, it starts with getting the right people on the bus, on board, so we can go move that needle on the major sporting front. But the conclusion, I think, while there's some people that are frustrated online about why a player didn't get picked up or this, that, and the other. The sport of banana ball is strong. It's alive. It's well, and it took a huge step forward as a result of this draft.
Is there a part of your game, like mental, defensive, offensive, that the entertainment side actually, that it made stronger?
There's no doubt. I think that, again, anytime you have a smile on your face, your brain is feeling that. Your brain is actually causing that, and it allows some of those negative thoughts that creep into competitive athletes also often. It kind of mutes that and allows them to just be in the moment, be present, but be positive. And so I truly believe that when we meet fans before the games, when we do our entertainment during the games, and then when we de-greet fans after the games in most of these cities, that it allows the players to stay focused on the task at hand, which is creating the most amount of fans in sports. But from a performance standpoint, not taking yourself too seriously. You may have just walked somebody, you may have gave up a home run, but now you're doing a 3-2-2 dance on the mound pitcher, and now we are back to square one. And so it allows you to kind of just forget very, very quickly what negatively may have happened, but also positively, because competitive athletes, elite athletes, if they get too high, they're in trouble. If they get too low, they're in trouble. We want them right here at a 7 in a flow state. And we think with the entertainment mixed in around the performance aspect, that it helps keep them a little bit closer to 7, where they'll be able to perform at their highest, but more importantly, they'll be able to just continue to stay positive, stay happy, and entertain our fans.
So what's something you're still trying to prove to yourself that no crowd, no viral clip, and no applause can solve?
Yeah, I still want to have the most entertaining, fast-paced game on the planet. And one of the things I've been trying to crack for years is we have a 2-hour time clock. And for years, we didn't know where we spent the time. We had a budget of time, much like we have a budget of money. We didn't know where the time was going. So one of the things I endeavored to figure out is, where does every single second of a banana ball game go, and why? And so I started just kind of dissecting that to understand, man, we have a lot of wasted time here that I call time leaks. And here's how these time leaks add up. It may only be 1 to 30 seconds of a time leak, but over an entire 2 hour span, over multiple events, whether it's pitches or warm up pitches or walking to the batter's box, that adds up to be a lot of time that we do not get to use to play the game of banana ball. So one of the things that I did was I kind of just dissected this and kind of cracked the code on benchmarks on where we're supposed to be any given point in the game, so we're on pace. So we know we can spend a little bit more time, or we need to speed up, right? And so the one thing that no amount of likes, no amount of views, none of that stuff, follower counts, will help me solve is, how do I still make this the most efficient and entertaining game during that 2 hours, whatever that may be. And so entertainment's involved in that, banana ball's involved in that. And so I need to identify that so I can train the players and I can communicate to the players, here's how you can help play the most amount of banana ball possible, because they just want to play as much as they want, as they can. And so really identifying that, we're getting closer and closer and closer. One thing that we're really worried about is, as we went into the playoffs this past offseason, is the game going to slow down because there's more on the line? And what we found was the games were just as fast, if not faster, because pitchers were more locked in, players were more locked in, and it sped up the game. So one of the biggest worries that I had was the game was going to slow down when we went to a more competitive route. That wasn't the case. And so we still have to manage that going into next year and get everybody on the same page. But what haunts me and keeps me up at night is how to maximize every single second of the 2 hour time clock that we have.
So I love the two hour time clock and the specific rules, like being able to steal first base, golden batter, all the wonderful rules that you guys have implemented. What would be like your favorite, and like, where do these come from? Are there new rules coming on the horizon? Like, things like that.
Yeah, well, the rules, Jesse Cole came up with the rules, and they started talking about this in 2018 about a different version of traditional baseball. And so Jesse came up with the initial rules. Those rules have adjusted based on the realities of our game. And so he set this boat in motion. And then throughout the years, the game has dictated that there needs to be change. The show has dictated that there needs to be change. And so now you have a whole bunch of people involved, whether it's our broadcasters, whether our coaches, our players come to us with ideas to try to make this game as exciting and entertaining as possible. So that is where the development of our game comes from individually, but the game tells us what we need to adjust. The fans and their behavior and their engagement shows us what we need to adjust, because everything we do here in Banana Land, we ask one simple question, and that question is this best for the fans? Every single decision we make, whether it was golden batter rule, okay, or a ticketing platform, or the way merch is sold, we ask that question: is this best for the fans? So on the banana ball side of things, when we were talking about showdowns, where a tie ball game, is this best for the fans? I mean, it's kind of like putting the best pitcher versus the best hitter and seeing who wins. That's the Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout moment that happened in World Baseball Classic however many years ago. Everybody was glued on that, and it was the best pitcher versus the best hitter. Who's going to win, right? It's a heavyweight fight. And so every decision, every rule adjustment, every new rule, it's all, is this best for the fans? And does this make sense? And quite frankly, my favorite rule, guys, I got two rules that I just love. Fan catching a foul ball, hands down, is super exciting. Getting the fans involved, seeing those guys freak out when they catch a ball, seeing the players be so upset when a fan catches the ball. The guy's holding a baby, holding the beer, and he dumps one of them and catches the ball is pretty awesome to see. The other rule I just love is how we score the game. Every inning counts. It's like match play. Games do not get out of hand. If the party animals go out and put up 10 spots like they usually do, the top of the inning and we put up 2, they get 1 point, and then we go on to the next inning. There's no carryover of points until we get to that last inning where every run counts as a point, which is the opportunity to kind of catch up. But those are the 2 rules I love the most. But I truly, guys, I love all of our rules, but those are 2 that are bread and butter. Those are sneaky rules. One is easy, the fan catching the foul ball, but the way we score keeps games competitive all the way to the end.
Yeah.
The amount of games that come down to 1 single point after the party animals put up 3 points and then we kind of chip away, and then we get to the last inning, and it always comes down to our best hitter being up with the golden batter of that matter. Those rules are amazing.
So I love that the focal point is always fans first, and you guys really exercised that this past year. We know what happened with the Tampa Bay Rays stadium after the hurricane. You guys were booked to be there but couldn't, and you guys did something that, you know, a lot of people weren't expecting. You sold out Raymond James Stadium, home of the Buccaneers, and put a baseball diamond in the middle of it. When you first heard the team would, you know, build a fully functional baseball field inside of a football stadium, what was your honest reaction?
Initially, it was, this is amazing. But then instantly I was like, oh no, how are we going to do this? And that is essentially when Jesse says, what's it going to take to put a baseball field in the middle of a football field and make it competitive and make it look real? And so, huge challenge. And again, that's my superpower, is tackling some of these big, challenging, gnarly problems, like creating a baseball field. And it's not just the baseball field. That's just one part. What do we need for foul poles? They don't have foul poles in football stadiums.
Nope.
So, you know, one of the creative solutions we came up with was the uprights. All football fields have uprights. So can we repurpose those, bolt them in the wall somewhere, and create a foul pole? How do we protect our fans? Well, we have a 50-foot net that creates a nice little cocoon around the fans. Always creates a short porch, whether it's left or right field. But coming up with these unique challenges at these football stadiums is a lot of fun. And that Raymond James game, for instance, that was nothing short of a miracle. That Patrick Briotti, our VP of World Tour, Jesse, Jared, ticketing, at a moment's notice said, we're gonna do this. We're just gonna do this in short circuit, speed up when we're gonna play our first football stadium. It was supposed to be Clemson. It was supposed to be our first football stadium, but we already had the date for Tampa Bay, so we had to accelerate that. So they pulled it off, sold out crowd. It was amazing. Truly amazing. I was just looking at pictures from that field the other day about how beautiful it was. I had a tear to my eye because we did that. We all did that together. But yeah, initially it was like awesome, but then it was very quickly like, oh no, how are we going to do this?
Well, I want to ask a question since you're the expert. Which field has been challenging with the football fields? Because each stadium is a different diameter and center. You know, which one has cost you the most problems, being the baseball on a football field expert?
Yeah. Expert is the loosest usage of that word, but I do believe that in the history of the world, nobody has been responsible for building more baseball fields on football fields than this gentleman that you're talking to right now, Coach Viro. But the challenge, a lot of them are the same. It's like a Lego set and putting together Legos, and you can kind of configure them all however you want. And but the biggest challenge was probably Nashville. That's a turf field, and it's not just your natural artificial turf field. It's a coconut infield, and so why that's a challenge? Why that was a challenge is they had to paint the infield. They had to paint the dirt, right, and the lines and everything. But that coconut infield is engineered to be water soluble. So like whenever you put paint over it and you put water over it, it'll just dissipate. Okay. It rained for the week leading up to our game in Nashville. So every time they'd lay paint out, it would wash away. We'd show up the next day and it literally is just spotty and it washed away. So one of the biggest challenges we had was we had rain in the forecast for the game and for the morning of the game. And it's, what's the latest we can lay paint on this field, allow it to dry, and still have a good product. So it looks great on ESPN. The photos look great, the social media. And that was just figuring out the drying time of paint figuring out how much rain was going to be in there, was the last possible moment we could lay down more paint in order to have the best looking, highest standard field. And we pulled it off, but man, it was frustrating. We ran out of paint. We had to hire some guy to drive overnight to bring us more paint because we kept laying more paint, and it just kept washing away. So that was the biggest challenge. Everything else, guys, we kind of have a pretty good grasp on getting the padding up, getting the netting up, getting the foul poles up, setting the field, how deep our field, how big it is, because naturally there's going to be a left or right field that's really short. So creating an optical illusion that it looks bigger than it actually is was one thing we learned along the way on how to kind of create that while not affecting the level of play. That was the biggest thing. Next year, we're going to be playing at Boise State, blue turf. How is that blue turf going to look when we paint over it? But more importantly, they have no cross wire to attach our net to. So we got to figure out a solution there. That's going to be our biggest challenge so far.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But my curious thing was the way you guys laid it out. We didn't put it lengthways with the football stadium. So what was that thought process to not be like a Polo Grounds-esque baseball field?
Well, you're speaking my language, my friend, because I've told Jesse for over a year now that we need a Polo Ground setup where we have home plate right in the middle of the end zone. I don't know if it's going to work or do it this time, but the reality is we wanted to make sure that there wasn't too many home runs. You have to have the right type of stadium in order to do that Polo Ground setup. If not, you need to figure out a whole new netting configuration, which we can do to kind of make sure that when left and right field are only 210 feet, that it's just not every pop fly is going out for a home run. You really need the right stadium. There is one stadium next year that the configuration is prime for a Polo Ground setup. It's going to be a tug of war in order to get approval on it. But one of the things we always keep in mind is the sight lines for our fans. And we want to make sure wherever home plate is, we have the most amount of seating for the most amount of fans to be able to get a really prime view. So a lot of stadiums and their seating configuration, their layout dictates where we put home plate. It's just not, let's put it here one time and there one time. We thought it was going to just be an alternating, but every stadium configuration is different from that seating layout. And so we're really intentional about where we put that. But I'm going to be fighting for Polo Grounds, and you know what? It's going to happen. I'm going to try to make that happen before my days here in Banana Land are over.
So can I give you an idea of a stadium that I think it would work great on?
Let's hear it.
LA Coliseum, because look how they did it with the NASCAR track.
Yeah, that is one. You need a lot of foul territory, so you need to look at whatever football fields you see, whatever has a lot of foul territory or like behind the football player's bench. That is what you need. You're fighting for inches here. And so New Orleans is a great opportunity because those seats actually retract. Now, here's what happens. If you retract those seats to kind of create a Polo Grounds, you're losing about 10,000 seats. And so there's less fans you can serve, and there's more fans that are going to be left on the wait list. So we got to keep that in mind. So if a Polo Ground setup is best for the fans, you bet that we're going to really strongly consider that.
It's going to be the ticket I have to go hunting for.
So did that unique environment teach you anything about adaptability, pressure, and performance that you didn't expect?
Yeah, it really did. Well, just from the field setup alone, I knew that Jesse Cole and the entire organization was going to come in and see this field, a finished product for the first time. And I really wanted to make everybody proud and happy with every detail, all the way down to are the pads equally level all the way around the field? Is the netting perfect? Does the home plate and the field look perfect? I had the pressure of making sure that they were happy. I wasn't looking for, you did a great job. I wasn't looking for accolades. I just wanted to make sure that it was a job well done. And so that was the first thing. The adaptability, one of the things that we had to adapt was they don't have bullpens. These are not set up for baseball fields. So we had to figure out where these bullpens going to be because pitchers have to warm up. And so utilizing tunnels underneath, maybe putting them on the field, coming up with creative solutions that our players could still be ready to go out there and compete at the highest level despite these constraints. Constraints foster creativity. anytime you have a challenge, it forces you to be creative to come up with a solution. And so those football fields, without a doubt, forced us to think creatively. And that's exactly what we did. So we like to say we're in the problem-solving business, and those football stadiums certainly forced us to flex our problem-solving muscle.
And you guys did it so well. Like it honestly looks like it was meant to be there. That it just took you guys no work at all from the perspective of a fan. And I really, hearing the story, hearing how it went, like I'm really like like awestruck by it. It's really cool what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as someone who sees the inner workings, what's one innovation or behind the scenes improvement that you're most proud of that the fans haven't noticed yet?
Without getting in trouble.
No, I'm not getting in trouble. The innovation is how we train baseball players and all the stuff they do off the field in order to put on the greatest show. It just doesn't happen overnight. And so the one thing that the fans won't ever know is not only do these guys have to put in a ton of work to become the best banana ball players that they can with the trick plays and things of that nature, but it's the entertainment aspect. It's learning those dances. You know, some of these dances are pretty intricate. They're pretty complex. And when you see the final form, that is really amazing. But what you don't realize is everything that went into it every single week, because we change things up consistently. It's the amount of time and effort that have gone into the training and the development of these players that nobody will ever see, and that's fine. Just like we don't know how many swings Shohei Ohtani has taken up until the point that he became great on the biggest stage, but we know that he put in a lot of work. And one of the things I'm proud of is how we've adapted and innovated our development as coaches to make sure that we check every single box as efficiently as possible. More importantly, that our guys are prepared to go out there any given day to put on the greatest show. So it's the innovation of the practice plan. It's the innovation of the trick plays development. It's the innovation of getting pitchers to work differently, but more effectively by working quick and trick pitches and things of that nature. And so that's what I'm most proud of.
So I have to ask the question. My son wanted me to ask it. How often do y'all practice the trick plays? Because he tried to catch a ball behind his back, and I was like, please stop before you get hurt. And he's like, they make it look easy. He goes, and when I told him I was interviewing, he goes, you need to ask how many times they practice that because it looks so easy. I'm like,
or like seeing Coach Virant do the backflip catch.
Or the backflip catch. Like, how often, because y'all play so many games, how often do y'all actually get to practice everything?
Every day. We practice trick plays every single day. Off days, a lot of these guys will still be at the ballpark just working on trick plays. They do a lot of the imagination in their minds where we have idea sessions about what's the next trick play I want to try to learn. And so they see it in their head, they scratch it out, and then they chunk it up into small little baby steps. And a lot of things you're seeing nowadays with the trick plays are innovations of kind of existing trick plays. You know, it started with just a transfer between the leg. Now it's a bounce pass between the leg. Now it's a bounce pass with a spin between the leg. And so they practice them every day, and we create a really, really nurturing environment that we don't make fun of people if they try and fail. We applaud the effort. We applaud the effort because the last thing we want is a player to be like laughed at because they're trying something new and they may shut down. And so they do things every single day. I have a saying that is, be willing to fail. We don't want you to fail, but take it to the brink of failure because that's where real growth happens. Okay. And so for a lot of these trick plays, a lot of these new guys, you know, don't start on level 10, start on level 1. But then once you master level 1, be willing to fail and grow to level 2. And then before you know it, you can make your way up that chain. I think what a lot of players do when they come in and they're not used to trick plays is they go right on for the level 10 trick play. They go on for the DR Meadows backflip barehanded catch, which there's one guy in the world, in the history of the world, that can do that, and that's DR Meadows. But for your son, it's encouragement, right? Like, it's be willing to fail. Anything good, there's a lot of effort and time that goes into that, and they have to be willing to fail. But more importantly, create an environment where it's harmonious, it's helpful, it's encouraging, and if he wants to fail, he's going to keep going until he succeeds. And he's in the moment that he succeeds that one time, the level of excitement and enthusiasm
Oh
you
yeah.
see, it's going to be like he won the World Series,
I
right?
tell him he
And
can
then
do it with tennis balls.
there you go. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Start with tennis balls or bean bags. Bean bags are a good one
Oh.
because they're a little bit easier to grab and they won't hurt, right? And then you kind of graduate, but that's development right there. And never discourage them, but constantly encourage them, help them along the ways, but be willing to fail, be willing to get to level 10, but start on level 1.
And I think that's a really cool thing that, like, everything you just said, because, not only is it baseball oriented, the one sport that you fail 70% of the time, but you're adding a more challenging aspect with these trick plays and these dynamics of the game. So it's like for you guys to be encouraging them to push the limits, push the boundaries, and not be upset when they fail, because again, you're playing a sport where failure is common.
Yep.
I think that speaks tremendously to what you guys are doing as a leadership, because it does show on the players' faces that everyone's having fun. And yes, it's fan first, but you guys have also made it team first. And I feel like that's a very big thing, especially with the entertainment aspect that you guys are doing, because everyone enjoys it.
You nailed it. It is team first because we literally are all in this together. Nobody is more important than the other. Nobody has more responsibilities than the other. Although the spotlight will be shined on individuals at certain times, but without the whole, this thing doesn't work. It doesn't work with just Bill Leroy. He needs a team around him, right? It doesn't just happen with Bryson Bloomer on the Party Animals. It needs a team around him. So team is very important. Getting in alignment is very important, and that's one thing that we really care about is getting everybody pushing the rock as hard as they possibly can in the same direction, and understanding that their brother right next to them is pushing just as hard as them for the right reasons to lift everybody up. So yeah, it's no different than competitive sports, guys. You got you got people who really truly love each other inside the clubhouse. But they all, again, they're all like-minded, and the focus is fans first and put on the greatest show in sports. And it starts with who we bring into the ballpark, into the clubhouse, but then they have to maintain it. And that's where the leadership and the direction that the coaches provide them. But at the end of the day, we rely very heavily on a lot of our veterans, Bill Leroy and Kyle Leagues, who have been in Banana Land longer than I have. We need them to tell the stories about what it was like before we were on the national stage. And so it's very important for those folks who are here before to help the new guys coming in on what this thing is now, but what it was, and to never feel satisfied, keep the perspective, and keep pushing the pace, because the next show has to be our best show. Your next trick play should be your next best trick play. And so fostering that environment is something we've done a good job of, but we need to continue to push the pace on.
So I will say that Banana Ball has grown immensely very quickly, just because of, a lot of the mentality you guys have. So, but my thing is, you guys have been compared to similar leagues, the Globetrotters, things like that, but you guys are still a competitive sport, and, making that name for yourself, because yes, it's baseball, but it's not baseball. It is Banana Ball. It is its own unique thing, and it's still competitive. So, what's one part of the Bananas growth that you think people misunderstood and oversimplify, and like how, like, I've heard the way you guys combat it somewhat, but like reinforcing that with the draft and things like that, what does that look like for you?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions about Banana Ball is that it's not competitive, that it's scripted, that the players really don't care if they win or lose, and they only care about dancing and putting on the greatest show. We care about everything. We care about everything. Our guys, when we lose, that clubhouse feels like a loss, just like it does in college, pro ball, major league level. It feels like a loss. And so those guys want to win. So I think the misunderstanding of how competitive our sport is and these athletes are is the thing that's lost on people. But that quickly turns when they come to a game and they see that the guys are throwing 90 miles per hour, and they see Jake Skoll hitting balls 400 feet, and they see guys running, you know, sub fours down to first base and stealing bases and doing highly athletic things. I think that's when people realize, oh, this is real. And then they can communicate that. That's the biggest misunderstanding, I believe.
So before we get into the fun questions of the podcast, I just have one more serious question: is where do you see the operations side of Banana Ball going in the next 3 to 5 years? And what keeps you excited about that evolution?
Yeah, the operation side of things, we're going to have to put on 3 shows at one time any given weekend. And so from an operations standpoint, it's like going on different missions. This is not the military. That's not what this is, but it's preparation like that. It's double checking everything, triple checking everything. And so from an operations standpoint, making sure that no matter if games are in Billings, Houston, or Anaheim that weekend, that operationally for our players and also the show, everything is consistent and everything is the exact same. Not that it's better when the Bananas are there because I'm there and I'm my fingers on everything, but every single place we go needs to be consistent. And that's a testament to our staff. Our ops staff is next level. We have Chris Hunter is running point on a lot of ops stuff day to day. He was with the Atlanta Braves for 12 plus years in their big leagues. And this guy knows he's forgotten more about operations than I'll ever know. But he really understands like efficiency and effectiveness, but more importantly, leading. And so that's the biggest challenge and it's a fun challenge. It's like, okay, cool. I remember when we did one city and we're like, how are we going to do this? And we did it. And then we're like, we're going to do 2 cities. How are we going to do this? And the first one was a little wonky, but then we nailed it the next cities going forward. 3 cities is challenging, but it's a repeatable model. What worked for 1 will work for 2, will work for 3. And again, it starts with having the right people on the bus. And our operations staff, we have the right people on the bus. Those guys are absolute savages. Truly working behind the scenes. You'll never know who they are, but they are the true rock stars in making all this happen. So I'm not just saying that because they don't get a lot of love. They are the true rock stars in making sure that what you see on the field is as consistent as when you see us at a minor league stadium, a major league stadium, or a football stadium.
That's awesome. So now we get into the fun casual questions.
Let's do it.
This is where the party gets to start. So,
okay.
Now that you've always been with the Bananas, if you could pick one of the other teams to join to be a coach on, which one would you pick?
All right, so I need to correct you there. Your history is wrong. So I was the head coach for the party. I was the head coach for the Party Animals on the Second World Tour when Eric Burns was the head coach for the Bananas.
Okay.
So, okay. See, I thought that was you, but then I was like, there's been so many coaches. Okay.
There's 2 Adams there, yeah. But I was with the Party Animals for a year. And which team would I love to be on? I tell you what, I don't know if you guys have seen the new Coconuts jerseys. But those jerseys are absolutely incredible. They got the flower print like a Hawaiian shirt. The colors are amazing. That is a cool uniform that I want to wear. Now, this isn't about the guys in our clubhouse versus the guys in their clubhouse. It merely is just the uniform. I actually would love to wear a uniform in a game of every single team by the time I'm done in Banana Land. And you know, I got Bananas. I got Party Animals under my belt. Now I got 4 more teams to go. But I would say that based on the color scheme and how it makes my face radiant, it's that Coconuts jersey. That's what I'd want to wear.
That jersey is actually the reason I came up with this question, because I saw that jersey and I was like, I'm a diehard Party Animal fan, but I don't think I can rock that jersey anymore. That coconut jersey is where it's at.
It's pretty sweet, man. And the hat's cool too.
Oh, man. I'll have to check that out. So if you could pick any stadium to build a Banana Ball game in, which stadium is on your bucket list that isn't on the calendar yet?
Yeah, good save there, because it would have been University of Nebraska, where I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, but it's on the docket. I would love to build a stadium at the Big House, University of Michigan, because It's massive. First of all, I think there's about 110,000 fans that can be seated there. But I also do think it's ripe for the Polo Ground setup. But yeah, I'd like to build it either at University of Michigan or Ohio State, the Ohio State University, if you will, because that horseshoe I think could be a really cool background, again, ripe for a Polo Ground setup.
So you're gonna get your Polo's grounds either way. This
I'm going
ends
to add
automation.
one more on there. And this is not a stadium. I would love to build a baseball field to play banana ball at Central Park in New York City.
Ooh, okay. That would be cool. I think that would be really cool.
I was naming things off, and Ethan's like, I don't know about that. I'm like, well, if they can do it in a NASCAR track, we can do it anywhere. Because I was like, that'd be kind of cool to do it outside of Alcatraz. You're on an island.
Yeah. Oh no, there's a lot of cool places we can do it.
If you could bring one guest that hasn't played banana ball yet, who would you want to bring and why?
George Brett, he's my hero growing up. We almost had him in Kansas City last year. We wanted him to recreate the Pine Tar Incident game that happened on my birthday, July 24th, 1984, in Yankee Stadium. We had him propped up, but then he had another thing pop up. But George Brett, just because personally he means so much about, he had such an impact on me growing up. Other than that, of somebody who would actually play, because George wouldn't play, I'd love to see Barry Bonds suit up and destroy a baseball in a banana uniform. That's who I'd love to see.
All right. So, here comes the toughest fun question. If you could go to bat for the Golden Batter, would you?
Yes. I had the helmet on. I had the cape on one time this past year, and I'm like, Gillen, put me in, man. Pull me in. It didn't happen, but absolutely, I'd be Golden Batter in a heartbeat.
So
I'd get a hit.
So what's your favorite go-to stadium snack or road trip snack?
Ooh, man. So I drink a ton of coffee. I don't measure them in coffee cups. I measure them in coffee pots. So coffee is not a snack to some, but it's a snack to me. I've been on a protein bar kick, guys. Man, I don't know why, but that's been a snack that I've been consuming because I'm just on the go during game days, during prep days. I'm just on the go, and so that those protein bars can kind of hold me over when I forget to eat, which is often a lot of times.
So, if you could steal one talent from any player for 24 hours, what are you taking?
Any player in Banana Land?
Yes.
Banana Ball?
Any talent.
Coach Rack has the most amazing voice on YouTube. We call it the YouTube voice, and it is absolutely incredible. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. But it's kind of like, hey guys, Coach Rack here, right? And it's like it's not creepy like I just made it creepy, but it's like it is just so spot on, so strong, so clear. I want Coach Rack's voice for 24 hours because I'm gonna go make a whole bunch of content and pump it out there and get the traction that hopefully he has. Besides the voice, I would love, I'd love to just be doing backflips. I can't do a backflip. So, so many guys in Banana Land can do backflips. I'd just be doing backflips all day long. I would be betting people that I can't do a backflip, and I'd just rip it out and take their money.
Perfect.
So who on the staff would survive the longest if they had to live inside a stadium for a week?
Reggie Horton, legend coach, because wherever Reggie is, Reggie makes the best of it. He's never without a smile on his face. He's always positive, super resourceful. Man, it would be Reggie. If you ask me the same question about who had to live out in the woods for a day or a week, it'd be Garrett Delano or DR Meadows, but probably Delano. As we sit right now, Delano probably is out in the middle of the woods right now, stalking some sort of 10 buck deer, 10 point. But Reggie would, wherever he's at, he's going to thrive, man.
So What's the most bananas thing that you've seen a player do that didn't make it onto social media?
Ooh.
Wow. That didn't make it on. Everything lands on social media. Yeah, listen, there's a whole host of fans first moments that never land on social media. And I would say that, and those happen every single game that we're at, whether it's playing catch with a kid on the field, or bringing a kid in and into the dugout, and letting them meet their heroes, spending time with a family that may be grieving because they lost somebody special to them. Those moments are really encapsulate what Bananas and Fans First is all about. And those don't land on social media. Sometimes we do. Big moments. There was a big moment, JJ Falcone, who lost his life. We had a big moment with him where he threw out the first pitch. That landed. But there's so many Fans First moments very similar to that happen every single day, that are happening right now, that I'm most proud of. And you'll never see those on social media, because that's not why we do it. We don't do it for the glory or for likes or engagement. We do it because it's the right thing to do, because our fans deserve it, and it makes everything a lot better in this world when there's positivity and happiness surrounding us.
Man, honestly, I kind of just want to leave it with that question.
Yep.
That was honestly perfect. I love it. Listen, I'm really in awe, because for me, I've never had the opportunity to go to a banana ball game. But Chris here has, and he'll describe it and tell me about it and everything. But I am engaged with the social media portion, but to see that you guys, I know it's not just a talk thing, but also to hear you guys really back it up and really are fan first, team first. That's why this team and this organization has gotten the success that it's gotten. And I really just want to take the moment to say thank you as a fan and as someone who enjoys what you guys are putting out there. There's a reason you guys are growing, and there's a reason you're going to continue to grow.
We really appreciate that and understand. We're not perfect. We're not even close to perfect here in Banana Land, but we care. And we care so much about everybody in our organization. We care so much about our fans. And that's what you see and you feel in the content and the live shows. So while we try to be the best we possibly can, we might have some missteps along the way, but you can bet that we're going to learn from it, and we're going to be better the next time around. But really appreciate you recognizing all the good and the happiness and the positive that we bring to the world.
So before we let you go, outside of, catching you guys on tour with the Banana Land, where can our followers find you?
Sure. Instagram is, I do a lot of posting on Instagram. You can follow me at Coach_Viro. That's V as in Victor, IRO. Similar, Coach Viro, no underscore, on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. You can find us there. But, the reality is, just tune in and engage with our content that you enjoy. I do some funny stuff. I do some creative stuff. I do some educational stuff on my social media channels, and you can get a really close glimpse and insight into Banana Land if you tune in. So yeah, you can check me out there. It's actually, I got Coach Viro right there on my screen. You just put a little underscore there and follow me on Instagram.
All right. Thank you, Coach. So guys, that pretty much wraps it up for the podcast for us. So until next time, and we will see you inside the foul.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.